Oh, hello and welcome, FPL managers, and welcome to the Zonal Weakness brought to you by Ghana Football Fantasy and powered by Fantasy Football Scout. And of course, it's Bethany who's back for the double game week 34. I'm not sure if I'm too excited about it, but all I can say before we get started, to be honest, there's a bit of a surprise with the Zonal Weakness. So we'll come to that. But yeah, Bethany, how are you and how was your game week?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, I actually, for once, had a really nice game week, which has been a long time coming. I just feel like I've been on red arrows for ages. But yeah, I was very lucky. I had Leno in goal. I had Gordon, had Isaac. Palmer, not captained. I'd considered it, but didn't. Haaland captain, Gusto. So yeah, I had a lot of really nice picks this week. So I ended on 95 points and went from 660k to 450k, something like that. So it's brought me a little bit of hope. I'm still not sure I'll make the top 100k like I wanted to, but the hope is back, at least for one game week. How about you?
Terrible. Terrible. I'm like a wrestler who's going from one end of the ring to the other end of the ring, to be honest. In 32, I ended up with 500,000, so I was inside 500,000. I was glad, just like you, very hopeful about 100,000 K. And then this week, I didn't have Watkins, I didn't have Isaac, I didn't have Gordon, I didn't have Solanke. I had all the players, obvious ones, and none of them scored. So I'm back to 750,000. So yeah,
Gosh.
yeah, it's
So
okay.
tricky. Lines seem to be so fine at the moment. So fine. Like just one thing can make such a big difference in either direction.
True. The margin for error is very small,
Yeah,
very small. And guess
definitely.
what? If you have Palmer and you didn't captain him, you still got a red
He
arrow.
actually hurt. I
Yeah.
know. It's
Mm.
crazy.
I had him, I played him, and yet I got, according to Live FPL, I got about 37 or 55,000 rank drop because Palmer scored 26 points.
Yeah,
So I was like,
crazy.
wow,
Yeah, I think
that is strange. That is
Salah,
strange.
Haaland, and Palmer were all over 100%. So whoever you didn't captain hurt you.
Yeah. Anyway,
Um,
let's get to the zonal weakness, and I can tell
Yay!
you there is a bit of a. I can see I can see it already. Okay, but before we get into that, this is the zonal weakness for Double Gaming 34, and if you haven't followed, like to subscribe, please do so. Any follow and like and subscribe on our YouTube channel, we sincerely appreciate because we are trying our best and trying it regularly. So any kind of support coming from you, yeah, it just inspires us to do a little bit more for you, all of you. And of course, if you like the content, please do. And all the stats that you see are from the Fantasy Football Scout members area. If you're interested in the membership, please do click on the link in the description below, and you would get a 20% discount still. And of course, towards the end of the season, data can be very interesting. And I think how interesting it can be, we'll find out soon because this is the zonal weakness for game week 34. The surprise is the zonal weakness indicates it's a complete total mess. And I'm not going to deal with this mess. I'm going to hand it over to you, Bethany, to figure it out.
Cheers.
Yeah, figure
Yeah.
out this
Well,
mess.
I mean, before I came here today, I was really excited. I've kept my free hit. Thought I'm gonna make so much progress using it in a double game week rather than those people that wasted it in a blank game week. And then you look at this and you just think there's nothing to get excited about whatsoever. Who can I like? There's Gabrielle, who obviously most people own anyway, whether you're on free hit or not. But I am slightly concerned about him. He missed a couple of training sessions last week, and watching the game, he made a few mistakes. So I'm not actually completely convinced that he's going to play 90 minutes twice anyway. So even with him, I'm kind of thinking whether I should be moving to Saliba or White on a free hit. Then you've got players like Darwin, Jota, and Diaz, who again look great, ignoring the fact that Liverpool managed not to score at the weekend. But because there's so many of them back now, we've got no idea who started between them all. There's Gakpo to add into the mix as well. Who knows how many minutes they're going to get or who's going to start? No idea. So while it's nice and the zonal weakness looks good, can we trust them? If you've got them already, like if you're not on free hit and you already own someone like Darwin or you already own somebody like Diaz, obviously you play them and you don't bother swapping them out or anything. But I think for those people on free hit, maybe it's something to think about and going for some players from other teams that are more likely to get the minutes. And then we've obviously got for Bournemouth, we've got 𝐿𝐸, who is currently injured, and we've got absolutely no idea when he's coming back. So, yeah, it's looking really positive. I think the only one I would maybe highlight here who are currently yellow, so not flagged, would be for Palace. You've got Mateta, who's ranked 6th and 10th, so not bad at all. And then also you've got Havertz, who's got ranked 8th and 12th. Again, I think is a nice differential on a free hit. But otherwise, there's not really anybody standing out here at all. It's making me slightly depressed.
Well, guess what? I'll just say that last week, what I did was I got in Luis Diaz by transferring out Son. And I had Darwin since my, wildcard. So yeah. So I'm very optimistic. Yeah, I'm very optimistic. I can tell you that. Now that Gakpo and Jota and all of them are back, I'm very optimistic that both of them are going to play full 90, 180 minutes, and I'm keeping my faith in them. So yeah, and I have also 𝐿𝐸. Yeah, so that's good. Yeah.
You're going to play him this
Gabriel
week?
too. Yeah, I'm going to play him because I'm not sure when he's going to return. So you never know. He might just return ahead of the match. But anyway, I've got Gabriel too. Yeah, I've got Gabriel too. So yeah, a lot of positives.
You look like you've got a good team. Just whether that turns into reality.
I've got a very good team. But it's just that, I'm very lucky at the same time. Yeah. Let's see if the next slide, if there's any hope. Okay, here it is. Yeah, there's a lot of hope.
Apparently, the team we should be targeting this week is Sheffield. Not against them. No, we should be actually targeting them to pick their players, as they're the only ones that's standing out at the moment. So I'm not completely against Sheffield actually this week, as I would be for the rest of the season. I actually quite like Brereton Diaz, who's up on here, ranked 1st for chances conceded in the centre against Man United and 9th against Burnley. And again, I think if I wasn't on free hit, I'm not sure I'd be targeting a Sheffield United player. But I think as a 5th midfielder, even if he's won some first bench, if you're playing 3 up front, I think he could be a really nice differential. Has 2 of the easier fixtures, I think, of the doublers. He's playing out of position. He's a midfielder, but he's playing up front. So yeah, I actually quite like Diaz there. Otherwise, I think I'm just going to completely ignore Everton after their disastrous showing at the weekend. So they're completely out. Wolves, I do like, but again, obviously one of their fixtures is Arsenal, which isn't great. The one that's standing out the most for us there is 𝐿𝐸, so ranked 6th and 9th for crosses conceded down the right flank. But we've just got to keep an eye on him. Obviously, was injured, didn't play at all last game week, so kind of need to rely on reliable information from press conferences and things and training pictures and that kind of thing to see whether or not he's going to start or how many minutes he's going to get. But otherwise, I do really like 𝐿𝐸. Otherwise, I quite like Wolves as a whole in general. I quite like Kuna as a pick, but it's not something that's standing out from the zonal weakness particularly.
No. How about Harrison? Just wondering. Yeah. Anyway, let's not get.
Did you see that game?
Okay. I'm not going down that. Sorry. Let's go to the next one. Okay. This is sorry, Everton fan. No pun intended. Sorry. These are the single game week players. So
I think this is worrying in a way, isn't it? Because this looks much more hopeful than any of the double game week, because we've got so much more white standing out here than we have anywhere else. And I think that's the interesting thing for people like me who are free hitting, is do you pick any of your single game weekers, and how many? And obviously those who are not free hitting need to figure out whether they're benching single game weekers or playing them over or making transfers to get all doublers, that kind of thing. So there's definitely some tactics and lots to think about. I like Bruno. Bruno seems to be back in form recently, and obviously he's got penalties if that happens too. So I quite like Bruno for now. He'll also have the double coming up later if you are not got your wild card left and you've not got a free hit this week if you wanted to bring him in. So I quite like Bruno. I really like the Newcastle boys. They obviously worked really well for me this week. I think the biggest thing to note there is that Gordon tends to haul when he's at home, but not so much away. So I think if I was just having to pick one of them, I think I'd go for Isaac this week. I think he's more consistent when it's both home and away. Again, someone like Haaland, do we play him even though he's only got a single fixture? He's ranked 6th for headed conceded and 7th for chances conceded down centre, so not bad at all. But it's just that weighing up whether it's worth it over a double game weeker, which it might be, having looked at the double game week statistics. And then we've got Brentford, who I'm just going to ignore again. They're just so inconsistent. Tony hasn't started for the last 2 games. You never know what team's going to turn up there. So I think I'd be avoiding. But yeah, those other single game weekers, kind of Isaac, Bruno, Haaland, something to think about, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. And the last one, and I think then we are done with the slides and we can move then to the team of the week. But before that, yeah, here's the last one.
Oh, yay, we can target Burnley as well as Sheffield United. Yay, what a game week. We can have a free hit in. I mean, what is there to say? I wouldn't be bringing Burnley players in. If you've got them on your bench already and you're planning a bench boost, it's not going to be the end of the world. If you bench boost with somebody like Charlie Taylor or Fofana or somebody, you can definitely get something against Sheffield United. But otherwise, they're not somebody I'd be targeting. Same West Ham. We just don't know what West Ham team turning up at the moment. They can get hat-tricks and then they can be terrible. Obviously, they've got missing Bowen at the moment. So I think they're much less reliable without him in the team. Those who've kept Watkins were nicely rewarded at the weekend, obviously. So again, if you kept him, he might be one that you might be thinking of to start as a single game weeker, and he doesn't look too bad. Kind of ranked 9th for headed conceded, but actually 18th for chances conceded down the centre. So probably want to just bench this week if you're keeping him still. Chris Wood, I mean, what a surprise he's been this season, hasn't he? Just suddenly appeared out of nowhere and in good form. And who does he play this week? Everton, who's just conceded 6 goals. So, I mean, I think he could be a really nice, complete random pick. If you wanted to go rogue, if your season's over and you just want a chance to go something different, I think Chris Wood could be quite a nice fixture. Pick to go with Everton. I think Everton are going to have to try and play. They can't just play completely defensively because they're going to get dropped otherwise. They're going to get relegated. So that should give Chris Wood some space, and he's on form. So it's not the worst pick in the world at all. But yeah, compared to double game weekers, I don't know. But he is a nice pick. Might be somebody I pick on challenge that's a bit different, basically. That kind of thing. And then the interesting last one is obviously Chelsea, who have done so well, especially Palmer. Not going to talk so much about Jackson, who sat on my bench this week after with 14 points after blanking for me 3 weeks in a row in my team. But obviously Arsenal is has been the best defence in the league this season by far. They've hardly conceded any goals, and then they've gone and given away 2 last week, which just puts everything kind of up in the air. We're not really sure what's going to go on here. And I think Palmer is just completely fixture-proof. And it worries me as a free hitter planning to go without him that he could definitely get something even against Arsenal. And if he gets 1, I feel like he could get 2, because that's what we saw with Villa. Once they let the 1 in, they then let the 2 in. So again, it doesn't look great on here. Like chances conceding 19th for Palmer, so it doesn't look great. But I just think he's a player at the moment that defies all the odds. Seems to be able to make it through anything, and he's always got penalties up his sleeve as well. So yeah, another tricky one to decide whether or not you bench or play.
Well, I just realized one thing. that there's something common between Gaming 34, Double Gaming 34, and Blind Gaming 29. And I'll tell you, there was a lot of criticism about people playing free hit and Blind Gaming 29 because you have to pick players from Burnley, Sheffield, you have to pick Westwood.
And it's the same. Brilliant. Burnley doesn't even have a double game week and they're looking better.
Well, if games go according to the zonal weakness, then you know who's the one who's scoring. Yeah, I think that there would be celebration among those free hitters who did it in 29. So yeah, there's a bit of common. I mean, I found it quite striking. Yeah, but anyway, so just wanted to share that. Anyway, let's go to the team of the week and let's see how that. At least this looks much better. But I'm not quite sure what's the reason behind it.
Yeah, I think we've talked about quite a few of them, and I think quite a lot of them are players that people are considering anyway. So I think everyone already owns Salah and Saka, whether you're on free hit or not free hit. I really like Havertz for the upside of attacking. I'm hoping after that disastrous game at the weekend where Havertz was pushed further back into midfield, that Arteta will not make the same mistake again, and Havertz will be back up top and ready to score lots of goals in the double. So I really like Havertz as that option. I also think Eze is a great shout. He's on pens. He's had consistent minutes now over a couple of game weeks, so he's back in that team. He's got different options, different routes to points. He can get assists, he can get goals. He's then likely to get bonus points from that because he's part of everything, and he's someone that you can easily get to whatever your team looks like. He's so cheap that you don't need to sell somebody expensive to be able to afford to bring him in. So I really like Eze as an option. Similarly, Mateta, I think Crystal Palace have some of the nicer games on paper this week. Interestingly, 8-0 we've obviously talked about. I think is a great pick if he's confirmed fit and then we're going to see him. I think lots of people are considering going Liverpool defence, and I think just a word of warning that they haven't kept they've kept one clean sheet in I think about the last 10 or 11 game weeks, and in that time they've conceded to Sheffield, they've conceded to Burnley, they've conceded to not just your big teams, Luton. I think they've only kept one against Forest in that time. So you would be relying, I think, on an attacking return if you're going to go Liverpool in defence. I think the biggest thing here, and I know we were talking about earlier, is that who on earth do you captain? Who do you trust this week? I just don't know. I don't know who. Like Salah's been off form. Like I'm not going to go without him because it's a double game week and it's Salah. But do I trust him? Same with Saka. Like he's been great, but the last few weeks has he? But then you've got like, do you go with a Crystal Palace player? Do you go with a £6 million player for your double game week captain? Do you go for someone like Havertz who you don't even know is going to start? I think captaincy could be massive this game week. Obviously Darwin, I don't know with the minutes with Jota back fit, etc. Yeah, it's definitely a struggle and definitely an interesting one.
Yeah, it is, but I'm not sure if the fantasy challenge is a little bit different, but let's have a look at it. Yeah, it's slightly different, but not really.
Yeah, I think that I mean, I really like that pick of Brereton Diaz. I think he's definitely going to be somewhere in my team this week, whether it's in draft or fantasy challenge or something. I want to fit him in because I do think he could do well. I like that. I think most of the other players we probably talked about in other circumstances too earlier on. But I think that the fun thing with challenge, I think I might go with, is that you can have more than 3 players in a team. So I quite like, obviously you've got Saka, Havertz and Gabriel there. I think I probably will quadruple up on Arsenal if I can. And go double attack, double defense, which is what everybody else in the normal game is kind of trying to balance out and be like, do you go double defense? Do you go double attack? Well, in challenge, you can do both. So I think I quite fancy that for challenge. But yeah, I think Eze is a no-brainer, definitely. I think Elise could be a good option as well, though. Trent. It's tricky. I think in something like challenge, he's a good pick because it's a differential, and if it goes wrong, it doesn't matter. But I still worry about his fitness, whether he can play 2 games. Obviously, he wasn't planning on coming on as early as he ended up coming on the other day with Bradley being injured. And just Liverpool's defensive data. It's just a bit shocking. So, could be interesting though.
The funny thing is, and I just want to remind the players here, all the managers here, is that this week's challenge is players from Burnley, Luton, and Sheffield gets double points.
Oh, yeah, forgot
And
about that.
according to the zonal, they're likely to do well.
Yeah,
So
good shout actually. Yeah, so you've gone for obviously Diaz, but you've also gone for the Sheffield keeper as well. So
yeah.
yeah,
So
interesting.
what
Yeah,
I'm going to
forgot
do,
about
what
that.
I'm going to do is I'm probably not going to have any of these players. I'm just going to ignore everyone,
Just going to go for
and I'm just going to
Sheffield
pile up. Yeah,
Burnley
yeah,
and trust the
yeah.
zonal.
Trust the zonal, and
I
I'll
mean,
just
what an
go.
advertisement that'll be for next week, or it could go really wrong.
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant idea. Yeah, I'll probably just post it like here it is, the zonal weakness for based on this Burnley, Luton, Sheffield, and Ulster, and then here's the team. Let's see how much they score, and then yeah, if they score well,
Yeah.
voila, you've hit the jackpot, right? Anyway, but yeah, that's it. That's the surprise we had. Thank you so much, Bethany, for taking us through this mess. To be
That's all
honest, and
right.
it's
Thanks
of
for having
course,
me, I think.
yeah, and it's a pleasure to have you again.
Hopefully normal service will resume next time.
Hopefully, yeah. But until then, all the very best for the Double Gaming 34, everyone. And we'll see you next week for Double Gaming 35. But until then, bye bye.